Welcome to Beyond Sunday with Pastor Nick Williams. South Shore Community Church exists to help all people find and follow Jesus. Join us weekly as we talk through current sermons, theology, parenting issues, and how to have a gospel-centered marriage. We are praying that today's message helps you grow closer to Jesus. Now, here's your host, Pastor Nick.
Welcome back to Beyond Sunday, where we delve into Scripture to find guidance and insight for our daily lives. Today, we're focusing on John chapter 10, and specifically the first 13 verses. It's a passage where Jesus contrasts his role as the Good Shepherd with those he describes as thieves and robbers and hired hands, providing us with valuable lessons on spiritual leadership and integrity. Picture a small village where two paths diverge into a dense forest. One path is well-trodden, guided by a respected elder known for his wisdom and care. The other path is newer, marked by signs promising shortcuts to spectacular views. However, those who follow this path often find it leads nowhere, leaving them lost and disoriented. This situation honestly mirrors the choices we face in following spiritual leaders. Some paths lead to safety and growth, while other paths lead to confusion and loss. In your life, have you faced a decision where choosing who to follow significantly impacted your journey? If so, how did you discern the right path, and what were the outcomes of your choice? In John 10, Jesus uses the powerful imagery of shepherding to discuss themes of trust and leadership and protection. He describes himself as the legitimate shepherd who enters through the gate, contrasting sharply with deceivers who avoid the rightful paths. Jesus emphasizes that the true shepherd enters by the gate, distinguishing himself from thieves and robbers who sneak in by other means. This is found in John 10, the first two verses. This metaphor, it speaks to the legitimacy and transparency of Jesus' ministry. Let me ask you this, in our lives, how can we identify leaders who are genuine and transparent? What qualities should we look for that indicate a leader is trustworthy and open? Proverbs 11:3 states that the integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. This wisdom can help us assess the integrity of those we choose to follow. Now, another thing to think of is the destructive versus nurturing intentions of people. Jesus starkly contrasts his purpose with that of the thief. John 10:10, the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. Then Jesus says, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Imagine for a moment the audience he's speaking to. He's speaking to the Pharisees, and he has said at this point some pretty bold statements about the Pharisees. In fact, he's contrasting them to the thieves and the robbers. This distinction we find in John 10:10 highlights the underlying intentions of true versus false leaders. Take a moment and reflect on the influence in your life. Can you discern between those who aim to enrich your spiritual well-being and those who might exploit or mislead? How do their actions and results speak to their intentions? Bonhoeffer insightfully commented that the test of the morality of a society is what it does for its children. Similarly, the test of any spiritual leader could be what they do for the spiritual growth and welfare of their followers. To that point, Jesus begins to talk about the shepherd's sacrifice. Beyond just leading, Jesus talks about laying down his life for the sheep, a commitment that no mere hired hand would make. His dedication is proof of his authentic care and authority. And Jesus doesn't just speak about laying down his life, not just saying that he's willing to do it. We find out later in Scripture that he actually does it. And not in a field protecting sheep, but on a cross for you and I. How does understanding Jesus as the shepherd who sacrifices for his sheep affect our relationship with him? How does it influence our expectations of spiritual leaders? Romans 5:8 underscores this commitment. It said, "But God shows his love for us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us." This passage reaffirms the depth of Christ's sacrificial love and leadership. I love this passage that we looked at this last weekend in John chapter 10, as it talked about what it looks like for the shepherd to guide us, that he calls us, that he leads us, that he lays down his life for us. The imagery of the shepherd and the sheep is such a rich picture of what it looks like for you and I to have a relationship with Christ. We talked about this on Sunday, if you were here, that this is an extension of what happened in John 9. In John 9, Jesus heals the man that was blind from birth. And all of a sudden, not only does he have physical sight, but we see at the end of that passage, when Jesus asks him, do you believe in the Son of Man? He says, yes, I believe, and he worships Jesus. In that moment, the guy goes from having just received physical sight to now he has spiritual sight. And in John chapter 10, this imagery that Jesus gives us with the shepherd and the sheep shows us how to live out that spiritual sight, what it looks like to follow God, what it looks like to follow his direction and understand his voice as he leads. As we contemplate the rich symbolism in John 10, let's appreciate the profound security and guidance provided by Jesus, the Good Shepherd. He not only shows us the way, but walks the path with us, even laying down his life to protect and save us. Psalms 23, verse 2 and 3 says, he leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. May we always find peace and restoration under the watchful care of our shepherd. Thank you for joining me today on this podcast. Until we meet again, may you follow confidently, knowing that with Jesus, your path is secure and your journey is watched over with love.
Thank you for tuning in to Beyond Sunday. We hope the conversations and insights shared here have brought you encouragement and have deepened your journey of faith. If today's episode has inspired you, we invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an opportunity to grow closer to Jesus alongside us. Don't forget to share this podcast with friends and family who might be blessed by it too. Until next time, thanks for joining us, and may God bless you abundantly.